I just killed 2 people and I did 2 arsons. I'm in deep trouble and they don't know I'm away from Ohio and about and that was kind of the end of it.
These are the twisted words of a 17-year-old girl named Kaitlyn Coons. When she was interrogated about unaliving her boyfriend's mother, she explained calmly,
I gave him 5 hours. I ran away from the independent living house and I told him he had 5 hours, to kill her, and he told me that he couldn't do it because I was his mom. And so he wouldn't do it.
In May 2023, Kaitlyn's messed up actions shocked Sylvania Township, Ohio, then the rest of the country.
Are you working with the detective as Canton?
Yeah,
okay.
It's like a fugitive investigation, but then I guess
the one lady said that she killed her in arson.
Yeah.
Okay.
This story shows how things can go seriously wrong when people don't deal with their mental health stuff and when relationships that shouldn't be happening are allowed to keep going. What happened didn't just end someone's life. It also wrecked the futures of Kaitlyn and her way too old boyfriend, Jonathan Jones. This is their disturbing story. Kaitlyn and Jonathan's story blew up when the cops in Sylvania Township, Ohio, recovered this creepy text that Kaitlyn had sent to a nurse.
I just killed 2 people and I did 2 arsons. I'm in deep trouble and they don't know I'm away from Ohio.
Well, now they knew.
He was stopped down in Arizona with a female, a 17-year-old that's a missing runaway.
Indeed, this case did not begin with Kaitlyn, but with 53-year-old Nicole Jones, who disappeared in May 2023.
I have not seen her in forever.
When the detectives could not get a hold of Nicole, they started tracking down her family. That's when they discovered she had a 33-year-old son named Jonathan, and that he was dating a 17-year-old who was also missing. Kaitlyn Coons was a foster daughter and currently a runaway child who had left her group home some time ago. The detectives realized this couldn't be a coincidence. When they spoke to Kaitlyn's group home, the Ohio detectives quickly learned of the disturbing text she'd sent to one of the nurses there.
Are you working with the detective as Canton?
Yeah,
okay.
It's like a fugitive investigation, but then I guess
the one lady said that she killed her in arson.
Yeah.
Okay. There's the son took the woman's car with the girlfriend. Okay, the girlfriend down there reported to her caseworker that they killed some lady and burned her house.
What's more, Jonathan was already on bond, expected to come to his own sentencing for a previous crime, endangering children and pandering obscenity. Now he was on the run with his teenage girlfriend. Hearing Kaitlyn's text message, the marshal offered a bleak theory.
I said, that dude's mom's probably in the trunk.
Dark, but he had his intuitions. Nicole was basically getting in the way of Jonathan and Kaitlyn's relationship, as far as those two were concerned. The investigators were in for some sour surprises once they caught up with the fleeing couple. Kaitlyn and Jonathan's relationship was bad news from day one. The age difference, 16 years, was a huge red flag. Jonathan was 33, way old enough to know that it is not okay to date a teenager. What he did wasn't just super wrong, it was actually illegal in a lot of places. This big age gap meant Jonathan had way more power in the relationship. It's important to understand why such a big age difference in a relationship, especially when one person is underage, is seriously messed up. This can lead to some really bad stuff, like manipulation, forcing someone to do things or taking advantage of them, even if the older person doesn't mean to. The younger person might feel like they have to act all grown up or do stuff that they're not ready for. Plus, teen brains are still growing. An adult can easily mess with these developing thought processes, maybe pushing a young person towards doing harmful things or believing messed up stuff. In Kaitlyn's case, being with Jonathan seems to have made her existing mental health problems way worse and led her to do more and more destructive things. Nicole Jones, Jonathan's mom, was understandably not cool with her son dating a teenage girl. It turns out she was right to be worried, but instead of seeing Nicole's concern as a normal mom thing, Kaitlyn saw her as something that needed to be gotten rid of. Here's what Kaitlyn would confess.
I told him that I gave him 5 hours. I ran away from the independent living house and I told him he had 5 hours, to kill her, and he told me that he couldn't do it because that was his mom.
This horrible demand shows how not okay Kaitlyn's mind was at the time. It shows she didn't care about others at all, didn't get how serious it is to take someone's life, and was ready to do anything to get what she wanted. And when Jonathan failed to carry out this horrific request, Kaitlyn took matters into her own hands. According to her initial confession, she attacked Nicole from behind, striking her with a rock and then strangling her. The brutality of this act is hard to grasp. What's somehow worse is how easily she spoke about all of this when she was caught.
She was trying to get something out of the fridge and I flipped her over and started doing it, and then I took the rock that I had right on the floor and I started throwing hits at her head.
Is that what those scratches are on your arm?
I don't know what these are.
No. Remember, like, if you lift up your sleeve, the other one, are they from her?
No.
No?
Oh, these are...
Yeah, Kaitlyn had a long history of mental health issues and a turbulent childhood. She did the unthinkable, but so did Jonathan, preying on her the way that he did. After the murder, Kaitlyn and Jonathan supposedly worked together to get rid of Nicole's body. They wrapped her up in a tarp and put her in the trunk of Nicole's own car. Then, and here's where it gets even more evil, they went out to eat with Nicole's body still in the car. After the murder, Kaitlyn and Jonathan tried to flee the country. They took off towards Mexico using Nicole's car and credit cards. But they didn't get that far. The cops caught them in Arizona when they were trying to cross into Mexico. Initially, they denied everything. Kaitlyn went as far as saying that she and Jonathan invited Nicole to come to Mexico with them. It was a family vacation, not a fugitive case.
Does Nikki know that Jonathan's in jail in Mexico?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him since he got taken away, so I don't know if he called her or if the police called or what happened with that. I do not know.
Did she know better than Mexico?
Yeah, like I said, we offered her to come with us.
Right.
But it didn't take long for Kaitlyn to start complaining about Nicole interfering with her relationship with Jonathan. And then the detectives confronted her with the text message confession. Then she immediately confirmed and even insisted that she took 100% of the blame for it.
So you just mentioned that he was really upset that he killed his mom.
I have a really bad brain injury. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. I was just saying he was really upset that I killed his mom.
I just want to make sure that you're not taking 100% of the blame for something that he
Well, that's the thing. I'm taking 100% of the blame because it is the truth. I did.
Both Kaitlyn and Jonathan were charged with aggravated murder, tampering with evidence, and abuse of a corpse. Despite her age, Kaitlyn was tried as an adult. This just goes to show that no matter how young you are, your actions can have just as big a consequence.
Then later on, you guys, that next afternoon at 12:49 p.m., you leave and go to McDonald's. Then you go to Walmart, purchase some supplies. And then you go to, Meijer, and then back to the house. Back to Walmart on Glendale, Home Depot and Airport Highway. Then you guys took her debit card and went to the bank, several banks as a matter of fact.
Kaitlyn offered some explanations as to the timeline of events, but no explanation as to why she'd done that. In her mind, it was obvious Nicole was an obstacle that she wanted gone. So here's the deal. Some people are wondering if Kaitlyn might have something called psychopathy or antisocial personality disorder. These are serious mental health conditions where someone does not feel empathy or care about other people's feelings. In Kaitlyn's case, she saw Nicole as just an obstacle to get rid of, not a real person with a life and feelings.
Who planned to kill Nicole Jones because she was getting in the way of their relationship.
Sheesh. People with these disorders might also lie a lot, not feel guilty about hurting others, act super impulsively, and not care about rules or laws. Looking at how Kaitlyn acted, planning a murder, not seeming to care about killing someone, and then just going out to eat after, it makes you wonder if she might have some of these traits.
Why do you think I wanted to do at the end of the day take a blame for something I didn't do? It's because I really did love Jonathan. It don't matter if I say I love you to 1,000 people. I can do that all day long, but my heart goes out to Jonathan.
The attorney was calm and mirrored her emotion to show he understood her.
I understand you're dealing with severe trauma. I got it. All right?
But of course he heard what Kaitlyn said. She loved Jonathan. Not love. In her mind, it was already over. However, love is a feeling, not a relationship. It doesn't end so abruptly for most people. Plus, Kaitlyn also mentioned she could say I love you to 1,000 people all day long. This is also indicative of psychopathy. Some people wonder if she was only crying in the interrogation room because getting caught was finally dawning on her.
This is hurting me so bad.
Perhaps she really did not realize she would get caught. Maybe she didn't think at all about the consequences of her actions before she went ahead and did them. But remember, only a professional can diagnose mental health conditions, and having them does not excuse violent actions.
The defendant will enter a plea of no contest.
Instead of going through an entire lengthy trial, Kaitlyn and Jonathan each took plea deals. They both gave no contest to charges of aggravated murder and tampering with a corpse. The judge gave them both life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. This didn't make Nicole's family feel much better though. Nicole's brother spoke at the court and talked about how much pain the family is going through. He said losing Nicole was awful, and knowing her own son was a part of it made it even worse.
The agony of losing Nikki is compounded by the unimaginable betrayal we feel. Knowing that her own son and his girlfriend committed this heinous act.
The family cannot even have a proper funeral because Nicole's body was never found. They're still wondering what exactly happened and imagining some really horrible stuff about her last moments alive.
In their recorded interviews, both defendants detailed wrapping the body of Nicole Jones in tarps and placing her into the trunk of her own vehicle. The two of them headed to dinner with the body of Nicole Jones still in the trunk of the vehicle.
Imagine how Nicole felt in her last moments, seeing her son do this, and his psycho girlfriend dictate it all. And remember the marshal's theory that Nicole was probably in the trunk of her own car as they were still leading the investigation. This case made headlines throughout the US, and not just because of the bizarre duo. It also became a conversation about why it is so important to deal with mental health issues in teens before things get this bad. Kaitlyn had a pretty rough life. She'd been in foster care and ran away from a group home. That often means a kid's dealing with some serious mental health problems and needs professional help. Children and teens in foster care often need an extra helping hand. Many have experienced abuse, neglect, or losing their parents, which can seriously affect their mental health. They've had to deal with big changes like moving to new homes and new schools, which can make it hard to feel stable or make friends. Plus, they might not have strong family support or consistent adults in their lives to guide them. All of this can lead to feelings of loneliness, depression, or acting out. When they turn 18 and age out of the system, they often don't have the same safety net as other teens. Knowing these, Jonathan was nothing more than a predator. He'd been with Kaitlyn since before she turned 17. Under his influence, she ran away from her group home, and then she became a monster. Even though Kaitlyn gave Jonathan the ultimatum to kill his mom, he eventually went along with it. Honestly, what kind of person is okay with unaliving their own mother? It just shows that Jonathan is just as guilty as Kaitlyn. He had plenty of chances to say no, to get help, or to protect his mom, but he didn't. This proves that he's not just some innocent bystander, but an active participant in this horrific crime. Nicole's family wants us all to know something. We all need to know the signs of mental health issues in teens. If you notice someone acting weird, not hanging out anymore, sleeping too much or too little, or saying hopeless stuff, that's a huge red flag. Especially if they talk about hurting themselves or others, that is when you need to speak up. This case also shows why we need to learn about healthy relationships. Teens need to know what's okay and what is not okay in a relationship. But even though Kaitlyn had mental health issues and was in a creepy relationship with an older guy, she's still responsible for what she did. It's a tough balance. Understanding someone's problems don't excuse their actions. Taking a life is seriously wrong, no matter what. This case is a wake-up call for any teen going through hard times. Things can spiral out of control fast. If you're struggling, reach out for help. Talk to someone you trust. Your life matters, and one bad decision can change everything. It's not just about Nicole's death. Kaitlyn and Jonathan's lives are destroyed too. At 18, Kaitlyn is looking at spending most of her life in prison. All the normal teen and young adult stuff, gone. It's tragic and could have been stopped if she had gotten the right help earlier. We need to do better as a society. Let's learn from this tragedy and work towards a world where stuff like this doesn't happen. Hey, thanks for watching. What do you think we can do to prevent similar tragedies from happening in the future? Do you have teenagers in your life? How do you talk to them? Leave a comment down below, and before you leave, make sure you like and subscribe. All right, catch you soon.